The opulent lobby of the Celeste shimmered under crystal chandeliers, a sanctuary of hushed luxury where every marble vein and velvet tuft whispered exclusivity. At the reception desk, chaos simmered beneath the polished surface. Mr. Al-Rashid, a man whose white garment dress cost more than the annual salary of the entire front desk staff combined, stood radiating frustration. His sharp, guttural Arabic, laced with the clipped authority of a man accustomed to instant obedience, crashed against the bewildered faces of the impeccably dressed receptionists. La, ghair mafhum! No, not understood, he snapped, his voice echoing slightly in the cavernous space. He gestured impatiently at a reservation confirmation, his gold cufflinks flashing like tiny suns. The head concierge, Pierre, paled, his usual suave demeanor crumbling. "Sir, perhaps if you could speak English or French, we have translators on call." But the sheikh merely waved a dismissive hand, his dark eyes scanning the room with growing impatience. Whispers rippled through the discreetly watching guests. An Arab billionaire, lost in translation. How embarrassing for the Celeste. In the shadowed alcove near the grand staircase, unseen by the agitated elite, stood Aisha. Her simple, gray uniform was slightly faded, her worn sneakers quiet on the marble. She'd been meticulously polishing a brass planter, her movements efficient, her presence as unobtrusive as the dust she banished. She'd heard the sheikh's words clearly, not just the frustration, but the specific dialect, the cadence of his homeland, a place her own grandmother had fled decades ago, carrying only stories and a deep love for its language. Her heart hammered against her ribs. He sounds like Jiddo, she thought, remembering her grandfather's warm voice reciting poetry. But stepping forward, into that scene, she was invisible here, a ghost in the machine of luxury. Yet the sheikh's isolation, the sheer humanity of his frustration beneath the billionaire's armor, tugged at her. Taking a shaky breath that smelled faintly of lemon polish, Aisha smoothed her apron and walked towards the epicenter of the storm. The receptionists barely registered her approach until she was beside the sheikh. "Excuse me, Your Excellency," she said softly, her voice clear and calm, flowing in the rich, melodic Arabic of her region. But the sheikh froze. His head snapped towards her, eyes wide with disbelief. The entire lobby seemed to hold its breath. Pierre gaped. Guests stopped mid-sip of champagne. The air crackled. Aisha didn't flinch. She met his gaze, not with subservience, but with quiet dignity. "I heard you mention the reservation for the Al-Rashid suite. There seems to be a slight confusion with the arrival time recorded. Your private jet landed an hour early, yes? The suite is being prepared as we speak, but it will be ready in 15 minutes. In the meantime," she gestured towards a small, discreet service cart she'd subtly wheeled closer, laden not with champagne flutes, but with a simple, elegant silver teapot and delicate porcelain cups. "Might I offer you some chai? It's karak, brewed just as they do in Sharjah, strong, sweet, with cardamom." The sheikh stared at her, his stern expression melting into profound astonishment. He looked from her humble uniform to her calm and intelligent eyes, then to the steaming teapot. A slow, genuine smile, rare and precious, spread across his face. "You speak with my dialect," he said, his voice thick with emotion now, stripped of its earlier sharpness. "Yes, my lord. My grandmother was from Sharjah," Aisha replied. He accepted the small cup she offered, his large hands surprisingly gentle. He took a sip, closed his eyes, and for a moment, the billionaire wasn't in a five-star lobby. He was a boy in his grandmother's courtyard, the scent of cardamom and home filling his senses. A single tear traced a path down his weathered cheek. "Thank you, my dear. This makes me feel my homeland," he murmured. The stunned silence in the lobby deepened, but it was no longer awkward. It was reverent. Pierre looked utterly chastened, his earlier panic replaced by awe. The watching guests exchanged looks filled with newfound respect, not just for the sheikh, but for the quiet girl in the gray uniform who had bridged an impossible gap with nothing but language and kindness. What happened next left everyone truly stunned. The sheikh didn't just finish his tea and proceed to his suite. He turned to Aisha, his eyes sharp but kind. "What is your name, child?" "Aisha, Your Excellency." "Aisha," he repeated, as if committing it to memory. He turned to the still stunned Pierre. "This young woman possesses a gift far more valuable than any concierge service. Her understanding, her grace, it is the true luxury." He paused, then declared, his voice resonating with finality, "I require her assistance during my stay, not as a cleaner, as my personal liaison. Ensure she is compensated accordingly and her duties adjusted." Pierre stammered assent, scrambling for a notepad, but the sheikh wasn't finished. He looked back at Aisha, his eyes sharp but kind. "And Aisha, tell me about your grandmother. Tell me about Sharjah. I have missed the sound of my own tongue spoken with such heart." As Aisha, her own eyes glistening, began to speak softly in the language of home, the grand lobby of the Celeste transformed. The cold marble seemed warmer, the chandeliers less ostentatious. The billionaire sat not on a throne of wealth, but on a simple chair, sipping humble tea, listening intently to the story of a cleaner's grandmother. The hierarchy dissolved, replaced by a profound human connection forged in shared words and unexpected empathy. The stunned onlookers didn't just witness a language barrier broken, they witnessed the quiet power of dignity, the universality of home, and the truth that sometimes the most valuable person in the room isn't the one wearing the most expensive suit, but the one who carries the warmth of 1,000 stories in her voice and the courage to offer a cup of tea. Aisha, the invisible cleaner, hadn't just translated words, she'd translated humanity, leaving the entire luxury hotel and everyone in it forever changed. The real luxury, they all realized in that hushed moment, wasn't in the marble or the chandeliers, but in the simple, stunning act of being truly seen and understood. If you believe in kindness and second chance, please like, share, and subscribe to ACA Storytells for more emotional stories. Your support helps us spread hope to millions. Thanks for watching.